Imagine waking up, night after night, to the same haunting dream. Our protagonist finds himself trapped in a world of sleep where an ethereal figure, a ghost, is his relentless pursuer. Shrouded in an eerie mist, the specter's form is uncertain and fluid, yet its eyes, two glowing orbs, burn with an intensity that chills the soul. "Listen," it whispers, the sound echoing around the dream like a cold wind blowing through a desolate landscape. These words, though few, are filled with an urgency that sends shivers down our protagonist's spine. The ghost reaches out, its hand a formless wisp, and begins to trace strange symbols in the air. A series of arcane signs, they are as elusive as the ghost itself, disappearing as quickly as they form. The dream ends always at this point, leaving our protagonist in a cold sweat, heart pounding, and an unsettling feeling of dread lingering. But what could these dreams mean? The ghost in his dreams was not just a figment of his imagination. This was a specter that seemed to carry a message, a purpose, a plea. Our protagonist, let's call him John, was a rational man, a man of science and logic. But this was beyond his ken. John found himself drawn into the spectral world of dreams and shadows. He spent his days poring over ancient texts on dream interpretation, trawling through online forums dedicated to the paranormal, and seeking the counsel of those who claimed to have walked in the realm of the supernatural. He was a man possessed with a hunger to understand, to unlock the coded whispers of the ghost that haunted his dreams. He learned of the symbolism of dreams, the language of the subconscious. He read about the ancient belief in the supernatural, in spirits that could cross the bridge between the world of the living and the world of the dead. He listened to stories of spectral visitations, of messages delivered from beyond the grave. But the more he learned, the more questions arose. Was his ghost a harbinger of doom or a guide leading him towards his destiny? Was it a manifestation of his deepest fears, or was it a messenger from a world beyond his comprehension? His nights were no longer his own. The ghostly figure had become his constant companion, a spectral presence that both terrified and fascinated him. Each dream was a new chapter in this unfolding mystery, each message a cryptic clue to a puzzle that seemed to have no solution. John's world had been turned upside down. His reality was now interwoven with the spectral and the uncanny. He was living in a world where dreams and reality were indistinguishable, where the living and the dead seemed to coexist. The more he delved into the mystery, the more he was drawn into a world he didn't understand. He was caught in a web of supernatural intrigue, a pawn in a game played by unseen forces. John had become a part of a story that was as old as time itself, a tale of destiny, of fear, of the unknown, and the story was far from over. The fear was real, it was consuming him. Our protagonist lived in a world that was rapidly shrinking around him. His life, once filled with the vibrancy of routine and normalcy, was now a realm of shadows and whispers. The realm was not one of nightly terror alone, but it bled into the daylight, staining his reality with the inky darkness of his dreams. His fear was not of the ghostly figure that haunted his dreams. No, it was something far more terrifying. It was the fear of his destiny, the very thing he was born for, the very thing he was meant to fulfill. He feared the weight of it, the responsibility, the change it would bring. It was a fear that gnawed at him, a persistent dread that grew like a gnarled tree in the pit of his stomach, its roots winding around his heart, squeezing tighter with each passing day. His days were a blur, a monotonous cycle of dread and apprehension. His nights? A theater of spectral horror. Sleep, once a refuge, had become a battleground. His dreams, a stage for the ghostly apparition to deliver its relentless message. His waking hours were no better, plagued by the echoes of his nightmares. His work suffered, his relationships strained, his health declined. He was a man on the edge, teetering on the precipice of his sanity. He attempted to fight it, to push back against the growing darkness. He sought help from therapists, consulted sleep specialists, even dabbled in the mystical arts. But nothing worked. The fear was relentless, a tidal wave crashing against the frail barriers he erected. Every night, as he lay in bed, his heart pounding in his chest, he wondered if he could face his fear, confront it. But the thought of it was crippling. The fear was a beast, gnawing at him, whispering in his ear, casting long, monstrous shadows across his life. And so he found himself trapped in a relentless cycle, a prisoner to his own fear. His life was no longer his own, but a haunted echo of what it once was. Could he continue to live like this, in constant fear of his own dreams? In his quest for answers, he stumbled upon a secret. In the dusty, dim-lit corners of his grandmother's attic, our protagonist found a tattered old family tome. Its pages were yellowed with age, its spine brittle, but within the faded ink and the archaic language, a story unfolded. A story that was not a mere family history, but a legend. A legend that spoke of a chosen one, destined to face a great evil. This chosen one was described as a beacon of light in the darkness, a warrior against the shadows. Born in the heart of the family, he would be haunted by dreams wherein a spectral figure would guide him, prepare him for the battle to come. The legend spoke of the chosen one's fear, his reluctance, but also his ultimate destiny. As our protagonist delved deeper into this ancient tale, his heart pounded in his chest, his breath hitched in his throat. Could he be the one? The similarities were uncanny, the parallels too real to be dismissed as mere coincidence. His dreams, the ghost, his fear, they all echoed in the lines of the legend. The realization hit him like a bolt of lightning, leaving him breathless, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. But with this realization came a wave of dread. The legend spoke of a great evil, a force so malevolent that it threatened to engulf everything in its path. Was he destined to face this evil? Was he capable of such a feat? His heart clenched at the thought, his fear threatening to consume him. Yet he couldn't deny the truth that stared back at him from the pages of the tome. The dreams, the ghostly figure, the fear, it all pointed towards his destiny. A destiny he was afraid to acknowledge, a destiny he was unsure he could fulfill. Could he be the chosen one in his family's legend? The question hung heavy in the air, the silence amplifying its weight. The answer, however, remained as elusive as the ghost in his dreams. He had to make a decision, to confront his destiny or live in fear forever. Our protagonist found himself teetering on the edge of a precipice, at war with his own mind. Here he was, caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, to face the unknown or to remain shackled by fear. He was no hero, no warrior of old. He was just an ordinary man, thrust into an extraordinary situation. But the ghost in his dreams, the messenger of his fate, had chosen him. The question was, would he choose to accept this call? The unknown is a terrifying abyss. It holds a mirror to our deepest fears, our darkest secrets. For him, it was a maze of frightening possibilities, a labyrinth of potential dangers. He could see the shadows of his nightmares lurking in the corners of his destiny. He could feel the icy tendrils of fear wrapping around his heart, squeezing the courage out of him, drop by drop. Yet, he also knew the price of inaction. The fear, the nightmares, they wouldn't stop. They would continue to haunt him, to hunt him in his dreams. The ghost would not relent. It would not rest until he had faced his destiny. His life had been reduced to a perpetual state of dread, his nights a theater of horror. His reality had become a twisted reflection of his fears. So he found himself at a crossroads. To embrace his destiny would be to step into the dark, to confront the monsters lurking in the shadows. It would mean risking everything, but to do nothing, to let his fear dictate his life, would be an even graver risk. It was a decision no one should have to make, a decision that could change his life or end it, a decision that demanded courage he wasn't sure he had, but it was a decision he had to make, nonetheless. What would you do if you were in his shoes? But the story doesn't end here. As the curtain falls on our tale, we find ourselves ensnared in an intricate web of uncertainty. The protagonist continues to grapple with his fears, his dreams persistently haunted by the spectral visitor. The ghost's message, once a whisper in the silence of night, has grown into a deafening roar that echoes in his waking hours. The enigma of his destiny remains unsolved. Is it a curse or a blessing? A trial or a gift? These questions hang in the air, as tangible as the chill of a ghost's touch. They weigh heavy on our protagonist's heart, a relentless reminder of the path he must tread. And yet, the key to unravel this mystery lies within him, concealed in the shadows of his fear. A secret waiting to be discovered, a destiny waiting to be fulfilled. What do you think his dreams are trying to tell him?